Today's lesson is lesson 9 from module 1, and our objective today is to add decimal numbers. For our first problem, we're going to add 1 and 8/10 plus 13/10. And so you can see we have a place value chart here, and we have it labeled with our ones place, our tenths place, our 100ths place, and our thousandths place. And so I can use discs or draw discs to help me add 1 and 8/10 plus 13/10. So for 1 and 8/10, I'm going to make one disc in my ones, and I'm going to make 8 discs in my tenths place. So there's my 1 and 8/10. Now I also have 13/10 that I'm going to add to that. And we know that 13/10 is 1 whole, so I'm going to put one more in my ones place, and 3/10. So I added 3 more tenths there. If we count the number of discs that we have in our tenths place, we'll find that we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 11 tenths in our tenths place. And so when we have 10 tenths, that is equal to 1 whole. So I can bundle a group of 10 tenths, and I can show that I'm going to bring those over to my ones place. And so then I can mark one more disc in my ones place. And so if I take a look here now, I have 3 ones and 1/10 left over that I did not bundle. So my answer is 3 and 1/10. I can also show this by writing 1.8 or 1 and 8/10 and adding 1 and 3/10 to that. Now when we add, it's very important that we line up those decimal points. So you'll see that my ones place is lined up and my tenths place is lined up. My decimal points are right in line as well. And we know that 8 plus 3 is 11. So I'll make my 1 there, and I'll carry my 1 over here. And now I have 1 plus 1 is 2, plus the 1 more that I added in here. That gives me 3. And I can carry down that decimal point, and I'm left with an answer of 3.1, or 3 and 1/10. For our last problem, we're going to take a look at one that is a little bit more complicated. So now I have the number 74 hundredths, and I am adding 59 hundredths to that. So we have our place value chart again, and it's all set up with our ones, tenths, hundredths, and thousandths places. And we're going to start with the number 74 hundredths. And we're going to use our discs again to represent that on our place value chart. And so I can see in my tenths place, I have 7. So I have 7 tenths that I'm going to draw on my chart here. And in my hundredths place, I have 4. So I have 4 hundredths. So I'll use 4 discs to represent that 4 hundredths. Now we'll move on to our number 59 hundredths. I can see here in my tenths place, I have 5 or 5/10. So I'm going to use 5 discs to represent my 5/10. And in my hundredths place, I have 9 or 9 hundredths. So I'll go ahead and draw 9 discs to represent those 9 hundredths. Right. And just as we had done last time, now we can take a look and see how many discs we have in each of those place values. So starting with our hundredths place, we'll count and we'll see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 discs in that hundredths place. So I have 13 hundredths. Now if I have 10 hundredths, I can bundle them and I can move them up to my tenths place. So I'm going to go ahead and bundle together 10 of these hundredths, and I'm going to move them on over here. And so 10 hundredths is equivalent to 1/10. And so I just added 1 more disc in my tenths place there. And we'll take a look now and see how many tenths we have. And I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tenths as well. And I know that if I have 10 tenths, I can bundle them together and take them on over to my ones place. So I'm going to bundle together my 10 tenths, and I'm going to move them over here to my ones place. And so I will mark that I now have 1, 1. And so if I count what I have remaining in each of my place values, I have 1, 1. I have 1, 2, 3 tenths remaining, and I have 3 hundredths remaining. So 74 hundredths plus 59 hundredths equals 1 and 33 hundredths. I can do this as well without the place value chart by lining up 74 hundredths and adding 59 hundredths to it using an algorithm. Now again, we want to make sure that all of our place values are lined up, so you can see that I have my hundredths place lined up, I have my tenths place lined up, and my ones place is lined up as well. And you can see also that my decimal point is lined up. And so we know that 9 plus 4 is 13, so I put my 3 and carry my 1. 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 1 more would be 13, so I mark my 3 and carry my 1. And 1 plus 0 is 1. And again, I can bring my decimal point down here. And the answer that I get is 1 and 33 hundredths. Again, this was lesson 9 out of module 1, and our objective was to add decimal numbers.